Hey guys, this is a video briefing for Python chapter 1 and this is an instructor guide. So, hi, as usual, I'm Chester. There will be no one else doing this video. So the key points for today is what is instructor guides and why it exists. Next is actually how do you read my instructor guides and also your goals as a trainer. And also for today, I will be doing a training session demo, sort of like a standard flow of a session, and also to teach you how to handle those too smart students, right? And also we'll be having a recap of the whole thing today, right? Moving on, next is, so what is instructor guide and why it exists? Instructor guide is actually to help us to sync different trainers from different technical backgrounds, meaning you might be a teacher, you might be a student, you might be a volunteer from non-technical background, and this video is for us to sync everyone from a different technical background so that we can deliver a proper training for the students. And it also serves as a guideline for the new trainer. Now I have created a table here to at least let you check where you are, right? So let me get my highlighter. So if you don't know Python, it's okay. This is a great place to start. If you are volunteering your time to help us, this will be a very great learning experience for you because you'll be going out there to teach the students. And I'm pretty sure if you are committed, you would definitely learn a lot before you go to teach students. And if you say that, oh, you know what is Python, and if it's not a snake, if you know that Python, we are not talking about snake, then great, you know what we are talking about. And if you tried Python before, like code.org, Code Academy, or some other online courses, then it's even better. Now my range is around here, my work involves coding with Python. So some of you might taught me before, or I might ask question in the community before. So chances are some of you might be my sifu. So hello. And if you are the community speaker, then chances are you might have a better skill sets than me. Then I would thank you so much for volunteering to help us on this. All right. Now let's move on to the main topic. So how do you read the instructor guide and what is this instructor guide? Now, all of the instructors will be given a book which is almost similar with whatever that the student is getting, but you'll be getting a little bit more content, which is your instruction. This instruction will be available for all the chapters in coding, in our Code Python. Now, first off is there will be something called instructor to trainer, which each chapter it will tell you what you should do. And for this chapter, it's telling you to demo all the codes, and the codes are all related to the question. So please ensure that the students are able to follow. So please do that. And there's always a suggested flow for a demo because some chapters might be different. But for this chapter, you need to demo a sample code, and you ensure that at the end of one demo, the students are able to follow. And for this objective of this chapter, it will tell you by the end of this session what should you get back from the students, right? So for this particular chapter, it's actually a confidence boost for the students so that they are not scared of programming. They are able to read error messages, and they are able to assess their own mistakes and fix their own bugs, right? And the scope is something that it's sort of like a level for every chapter. So for this level, please don't exceed more than 3 lines. Any code shouldn't be exceeding more than 3 lines. And also there will be one more thing which is called the assistant level, meaning that you are advised not to spoon-feed the answers to the students, avoid telling them which line is causing an error, because Python already told them which line, and it's very obvious. During the demo, you'll be seeing that a lot. So they should be able to figure it out themselves and not getting any help, all right? So before you help them, please tell them that common errors are like typos or extra spacing. So it's all listed in there. And some students are confused with double quotes and single quotes, right? Double quotes and single quotes in Python shell. So when you read these instructor notes, it should give you a very rough idea on what you should get, what is the scope, and also what are the common problems that they would face. Because I've run this exercise many times, it should all falls under this situation. All right, moving on. So your goal is that everyone can code, including the slow learners. And I have included an asterisk here. I would explain why. Understanding of code is number one priority, not completion. Please don't rush them to complete it. I would rather the class to be late rather than them rushing for completion. And confidence level is very crucial. Next is what is not your goal. Don't finish off the sample, because that does not mean that they will understand, and also try and avoid scaring them off with technical jargons. All right. Well, some personal notes. It's sometimes it's good to have repetition. So if you see that they have some confusion or they are not confident enough in that topic, repeat the demos. Sometimes repetition itself is good enough for them to catch up with whatever that they are not understanding. And also, rather to have them stuck in a problem, right? And don't let them copy the solution. And by the way, I never included my solution in the instructor notes, so they will have to really figure it out themselves, right? And then it's the demo for the training session, right? So let's proceed with our demo on the training session for chapter 1. So in this chapter, we will be doing a demo for just the pure Python and not the Anaconda. All right, so let's go. For pure Python, if you have watched the previous briefing video, you might know that for Python there will be two modes for you. The first one will be using command prompt, and then you type Python, right? And there you go, you will have Python. But we will be using something called the Python IDLE, as you can see on my top left corner. By default, the background should be in white in color. So this is our Python shell. All right. So let's show. Let me get my material up first. All right. So on my left, it's what you get for the instructor notes. It's still work in progress, but I'm pretty sure this is almost on a 90% completion, right? So once you go through all the instruction and the instructor notes, so moving down here, it's where this is the instruction for you to do all the demo on the codes. Now on the first one, this is how you read it. So as you can see here on my highlighted text is this is the first command for students, emphasize on some of the rules like brackets and double quotes. So this will be the code that you need to type out. So I'm gonna do a quick example on how do we do that. So I would definitely say something like, okay class, this will be your first code, so please follow me and type this hello world and then hit enter, right? So then you don't proceed with the next one, because based on my experience, even the first line of code, there will be people having issues. All right, so please walk around the class or anything else that you can do just to ensure that everyone can do it. They are not being scared by any errors. So if everyone is okay, then teach them something else, which is errors, right? So check on my next instructions is to make mistakes on purpose, help the students to build some confidence when it comes to debugging. And that means that solving any problem that whatever Python is complaining, and also ask them to read their error messages should they encounter any. Now this process seems a little bit redundant, because why are we making mistakes on purpose? Because future chapters there will be more and more errors coming out, and we cannot help each and every students to fix their own problem. So this chapter is actually to help them to build this good habit of checking their own codes and read whatever that is being complained by this Python shell. All right, so let's do a quick demo. So another example will be, all right, I would say something like, all right, guys, since we are already getting done with the first example, I'll show you some mistakes. So you can ask the class, is this correct? Right? Then you hit enter. Then the Python will definitely tell you something like invalid syntax. Then you tell them this is something that you shouldn't be doing. Or you do this, print hello world. It's gonna tell you something is wrong on line 1, and say print prin is not defined, right? And we're gonna do another one as well, print hello world. It's gonna complain something else, which is like, oh, missing parentheses. So in this chapter, the errors are pretty straightforward. It's pretty obvious. So the students should be able to track what is happening and what went wrong, right? So please don't help them. Now next, moving on, is to demonstrate that the content of the message can be changed. So moving on, it's after we have completed doing the demo for the mistakes on purpose, then you can go on to demonstrate that actually the content of the hello world that we did earlier, hello world, can be replaced by some other things. And this is where you can give the freedom for the students to change anything like hello my school, hello school, hello class, whatever. And this is where they can play with the errors. So this is just to fortify their confidence level again, so that they are not being scared. All right. Then you start to introduce a new concept, which is on the demo number 3, which is something called a variable. Right. So a variable is like a bucket. Just explain it as if it's like a bucket. And when you assign a value, it means that you are putting stuff into the bucket. All right. So I'm going to do a quick demo, which is, I'll call this demo bucket. And this line itself means that you are telling the Python, say, hey, there's a bucket and I want to put 3 into this bucket. Right. And then as you can see, once you hit enter, it does nothing. But what is happening behind the scenes is that this number 3 is being put in a variable called bucket, and the bucket is helping you to keep that, right? And then as you can see on this line, it's something different compared to what you did earlier, which is print bucket, okay, without this double quote. All right. So if you hit enter, it's going to give you 3. All right. Means that you are telling the Python, said, hey, tell me what is inside this bucket. And then it's going to tell you 3. Now you can emphasize this concept, which is very different with what we did earlier. With and without this, with and without this double quotes is a big difference, because this will still print out a bucket. But if you remove it, it's gonna be whatever that's inside here, right? And this is where it's a good chance for you to let the children or the kids to play again, because if you said something like student equals 5, so now Python knows that there's something called student. But if you try to print something that you never declared before, that this bucket never existed, like teacher, it's gonna give you an error saying that teacher is not defined. And this is perfect. This is perfectly normal, all right? Until you put something like this, teacher equals 5, print teacher. There you have it, teacher is equal to 5, all right? So please play with this exercise again and again. Remember, in the slides I mentioned something called especially the slow learners. This is where this whole process will help them, all right? Repetition again and again. It will help them so that they can catch up in the future chapters. Alright? So now we are done with the demo on this bucket equals to 3 and printing the bucket. So let's move on with demo number 4, which is allowing the students or the Python to talk to the students to get some information and then printing it out. So let's do a quick demo on that one. Message MSG is a new bucket, and in this bucket we're gonna put an input that the Python will ask from the user, a word, alright? And immediately once you hit enter, you would see this enter a word. So for now, let's put something in for this bucket. So and then once you hit enter, there will be nothing. That is perfectly normal, because what this whole line does is it asks the user a question, and whatever the user types, it puts it into the bucket message. So refer back to demo number 3. If we want to see what is inside the bucket, we print it out. So let's do that. Message. So immediately you will see whatever that I've typed here. So this is a good step where you can ask the students to repeat and change the questions again and again to practice. Alright. So next is introducing a really new concept called logic, or what we call if this then that. Alright, so same thing, we create a new bucket called variable, or in short var, okay, and then we put 100 inside it. So as a human, if I ask you, is whatever that's inside var 100, we would know because we have our own logics available already, but Python doesn't know that. Alright, so we need to teach Python some basic logics, like if the Python knows that whatever that's inside is 100, tell me that it's 100. Alright, so let's do that. Okay, now this is fairly new. Notice that you have 2 equal sign here. I would explain it later. Alright, print value is 100. Alright, so hit enter the first time, you will not get anything. That is perfectly normal. Hit enter again, and then as you can see, value is 100. Alright, so this line actually checks that if whatever that is inside the bucket variable is equals to 100, again, double equals means that it does comparison, not putting inside. Alright, so if whatever that's inside the bucket variable is 100, print value is 100. Alright, so to prove that this is actually correct, let's do this whole line again. Alright, var, this time we put 99 inside the bucket variable, and then if we check this again, if we check this again, hit enter, it will not print this line because it fails the checking, because we are looking for 100 and whatever that's currently inside the bucket variable is 99. So that causes it to not printing this variable. Alright, so with that, that will be the demo for demo 4 and 5. Right, now we will continue our demo on demo 6, 7, 8 and 9 at one go, because demo 6, 7, 8 and 9, there are a lot of mistakes that I did on purpose. So reason is I wanted even for the instructors to have a hard time doing the demo if they skip all the tutorials that we have created for them. So if you're not watching this video, chances are you would have a lot of awkward moments when you are following and typing the code blindly. Right, let me give you a quick demo. So let's start the class, which is we will proceed with telling the students that we are introducing another new concept, which is looping. All right, so looping is something like this. All right, 3. So this particular line tells Python that, hey, I have an x, and for the range of 0 to 3, do something, right? So I will do a quick demo here first. Notice that I will be able to print 3 hello just by using one line here, all right? Just by using this one particular line for x in range. Now this, in layman terms, it means that, hey, start from 0 and then count 1, 2, and stop when you have 3. So they would have 3 hellos just by this, all right? So we'll do a demo again for x in range 0 to 4, print hello, hello, hit enter. You would have 4 lines of hello, hello, right? Now this demo is a little bit different. As you can see, there's something weird in here, which is something called a %d. Now if you follow the examples blindly, you would have this very awkward error, which is print, let me do the demo, %d bracket x, right? And then they will complain that it's an invalid syntax. Now for those of you who are watching this video, the right way of doing it is this: 0, 3, enter, print. Now what is wrong with the previous statement is that you've forgotten the foundation that we have taught earlier, which is bracket. All right, %d %. I would definitely explain what this line does. Okay, now as you can see, it outputs 0, 1, 2, right? Funny thing is, we never ever type 0, 1, 2 ever in our print statement here, but it outputs here. Actually, this %d, it means a decimal, all right? So meaning that print something is like the bucket concept that we have earlier. This x is another bucket, but every time it loops, the value inside this bucket changes. It changes from 0 to 1 to 2, all right? So what we are doing here is that for every time x changes, we output whatever that's inside in decimal format, all right? It doesn't make a lot of sense if you are a beginner, but please bear with me for this moment, because after a few more exercises, you'll be able to get the hang of it, all right? So I'll do another statement. You can do something else like y equals, for y in range 0 to 4, print whatever that's inside in decimal format. And notice that this time we are using y as our bucket. So you put y here, enter, there you go, you would have this, all right? So this is the demo for demo number 6. So with the demo on demo 6 is done, we will proceed with 7, 8, and 9. So demo 7 and 8 is almost the same. It's just that we need to repeat the exercise again so that we are familiar with this new concept of 4x in range, all right? So let's do that. Let's put 50 into y, and in this demo, we are telling the students that there are a lot of things that they can change, which is this one. So right now, you can actually ask them, so what is y? Y is 50 at the moment. So if you print something like this, hello, hit enter, you will get 50 hello. So this is to demonstrate to the students that you can actually do this. And notice that in here, I deliberately made a lot of mistakes as well. Notice that in here by right, you should have a proper indentation like this, but I will leave this as an error, so for the students to figure out themselves what went wrong. All right, and also same with number 8 is actually another deliberate error. As you can see, X range doesn't really make sense as well, so you will need to figure that out. Last but not least is something that I will not show, and I hope that after watching this video you'll be able to figure it out by yourself. How do you make number 9 work? All right, so the idea behind this number 9 is that we will have 2 loops, and by the end of 2 loops I would have, this is very close to a correct answer, but you need to fix the brackets and the double quotes. All right, and in here I'm doing something as well. I will definitely not show the demo for this one. I hope for trainers you'll be able to spend a little bit of time, as I have already shown in the previous demo how do you fix all those errors and get the output of this one. You'll be very amazed by what this can achieve. All right, so figure out the logics behind here, and then we'll see how it goes. All right, so that's all for the chapter 1 demo. So after the demo, for each chapter there will be exercises. The question varies from different level. So level 1 to 4 is a very basic, sort of like a must complete for every student. There will be more video tutorials covering this, but for the meantime, all right, so for this particular meantime, there are 2 ways for you to achieve this. Number 1 is once you demo, let's say demo 1, all right, which is printing hello world and also demonstrating that this can be done, you can immediately ask the students to say, all right, the first challenge is to print your own name. And after that, once all of them are able to do that, demo 3 and demo 4, it's to help them to solve questions number 2 and number 3. So it's up to you, how do you want to structure the thing. But my advice is that once you finish a demo, ask them the questions. All right, once you finish a demo, ask them to do this exercise. All right, so, and of course the last question is a difficult one, so it will definitely take time for them to finish this off. And this question, level 4, is also the buffer question for those smart students. All right, so that will be it for the demo part. So now we have done with our demo. Let's move on to our recap for this whole video. Definitely is a very long video because it covers the instructor guides. Future chapters would not have this briefing again, so it would just be jumping directly to the code demos. All right, so the idea of this instructor guides is to ensure consistent delivery of quality, because we are trying our best to ensure that all the classes in different schools are being given a consistent quality. All right, next is also, those guides is to ensure that students are having a maximum participation on best effort basis, because we don't want to leave anyone behind, right? And also I've showed you some buffer questions for the 2 smart students, which is like in the exercise there will be a level 4 questions. If students are moving too fast, you can just ask them to focus on their effort to solve those questions, right? And I've also demonstrated a full demo on chapter 1, and definitely is the recommended flow for the whole chapter is to demo a sample and then followed by 1 question. So you show them this is how you print hello world, and then you ask them a questions like how can you print your name. Then you ask them, you show a demo of a for loop, and then you ask them to do the same for you. All right, so that will be it, and that's all for this instructor guides and also chapter 1 demo. All right, and that's all. Thank you.